Greetings, beautiful people. I hope you're having a wonderful night, day, or evening. If you aren't, just remember, God loves you. I love you. You are so loved. Today, we're going to be talking about co-creation and my personal take or spin on it. And I'm bringing this up because it's a big part of my journey right now to co-create a positive space for me to dwell in, not only me, but others, my family and friends. And I'm starting to realize the correlation between my inner world and outside world way more. It became present to me that, what you think is kind of what you create in a sense a couple years ago, but I wasn't realizing how fast that manifests. And as I've gone into my self-discovery journey as a water sign, I've realized that because I'm a water sign, things flow very fast, which means our thoughts are literally like water. They flow like water. And so that's also as fast as our thoughts manifest like water, like waves coming and crashing in on a shore that just happens to be the earth. And so I've been learning to think in a more positive space, or just a more realistic space, but not necessarily realistic, but just a space of, I don't want to live in darkness anymore. I've experienced it. I don't mind it. I understand that you have to, in order to even embrace your light, you have to acknowledge your darkness. It's part of the process, but also realizing that if you stay and dwell in dark spaces, you also create dark places, literally. And I've been keeping that kind of present in my mind as far as co-creating the reality that I want to be in. Not only that, but the earth that I want to be in or see. And in 10 to 20 years, based on what I'm doing right now in this moment, that could be very present. And so if I'm spending all my time and energy and fear in creating that, then that's what I'm going to start to see more often. But if I'm spending my time more in love and trying to create that, that's what I'm going to see. And so the other day, I was just on Twitter doing some promotion for the podcast, and I came across the person that was expressing themselves, and they basically said something along the lines of, why do people subscribe to love and light BS? And they said some other stuff. They were giving their opinion, and I thought it was pretty valid, if I'm being honest. I agreed with most what they said. There are a lot of people who, in the spiritual community and religious community, they only talk about light and love and this and that. And I just gave her my own personal opinion about it, and I told her, well, I've been in dark spaces. I've went through the dark night of the soul. That was majority of my college journey. And I got to see that like inner darkness that I had present in me like all of my life, or at least, in my teens. And, when you're a child, you're just a kid. You're just the ball of purity, but you also start to accumulate a lot of stuff on your journey growing up. And so most of those things become very present by the time you're older and you realize, hey, I'm just a big kid and I didn't deal with anything from my childhood, but that's not here or there. So I told her, like, as far as the tweet goes, I responded and I said, for me, it's not that I am pushing light and love just to push it. It's because that's what I want to create. That is what I want to manifest. And so that's what I focus on. I don't necessarily think darkness is bad. However, it's not a space that I want to keep my mind all the time. And you have to have a balance between the two. Balance is key in a lot of senses, but you also have to get outside of quote unquote good and evil, dark and light, because in reality, love is not light. Love is above light. It's a big difference. Love is not something you can just throw around or play with. Love is not a game. And so, you can say light and darkness are on the same level. Yes, but love surpasses and transcends both of those things. Completely different territory. Think of it kind of like love and darkness are like this middle realm of duality, if you will. And love is above that. It's a divine thing. And then below that is below love is, of course, light and darkness. But below darkness is fear. That's kind of how I think about it. And there are different spaces that you can think towards. Most of us spend our time in light and love, thinking the thoughts that we think. I actually did this really cool talk the other day, and I was talking about how your thoughts do create your reality, essentially. But they also create the way you think about yourself, and your thoughts create you, in a sense. And so if you're thinking a whole bunch of negative thoughts about yourself or about the people around you and your environment, you create that for yourself. But when you choose to think on how beautiful you are, or, your personality and how much you love it and all these nice things about yourself, that manifests. And then people naturally see those things. But it's based on what you are thinking and how you are thinking. And thoughts are just thoughts. As humans, we have 60,000 plus thoughts a day. We just choose to pay attention to those thoughts. And then we choose whatever emotions we want to feel out of those thoughts. But it's just thoughts. They're just outside of you. And they come across your mind, or you download them, and then you just pay attention to it. But you don't have to. You don't have to necessarily focus on negative things or dark things. You can choose to focus on light things and love things. It's just a part of the process. It's whatever you choose to focus on, but it doesn't make you wrong or right to do either. You just are. And so we should never beat people up about what they choose to do in their own personal realities, or how they choose to create or co-create whatever world they want to see. And for me personally, that's what I choose to do. I choose to create love and light on my platform as much as I can. I'm only human. I make mistakes, and sometimes I don't deliver things in a loving manner as I intend to. Sometimes it comes off. I have a divine masculine sometimes that just can be real aggressive, not in a bad way, but like I can deliver a message stern, really stubbornly. And it's not on purpose or anything, but when I'm well balanced, you guys will hear it in my voice, and you'll hear it in the way I speak about things, because it'll just come off different. It won't come off like I'm trying to beat something over your head or anything. It'll just come off like, oh, he's just talking and expressing. And so that is based off of the reality I create, based off of my thoughts and what I'm thinking about and how I'm thinking. If I'm focusing on love and light, then naturally those things are created around me and within me. And also, it's just all stuff that's present within, you're just bringing it out in a sense. For me, I've gotten to a space where my dark night of the soul journey, it was a hard one for me. I didn't want to look at myself in that way, but I had to. Again, acknowledging the darkness. But once I acknowledged it, I realized I wanted to be different, and I wanted to change. And I didn't want to dwell in that energy anymore, because to me, love is an energy, fear is an energy, light is an energy, and darkness is an energy. And you can choose whichever one you want to be in, or whichever two you want to be in, or go back and forth between. That's up to you. I just choose personally to do my best to stay in a love and light energy. Why? Because I don't want to see darkness around me. Not that I don't acknowledge it and accept it and understand its meaning or its purpose, because I do. Without darkness, there's no light, and without light, there's no darkness. So they have to coexist in a sense. I understand that, and I don't mind it, because that gives me purpose in a sense. That's how God gives me my purpose. If there was no enemy to battle, then there would be no battle. There would be nothing. It would be nothing. It would just be as it is. There's nothing wrong with that. However, I understand as far as Earth being a school, this is just part of the journey. Adversity creates change and is a great teacher for change, because it is. Everything is a moment to better yourself in any way. And I'm just on my journey. That's what I'm choosing to do, is to better myself. And whenever darkness is revealed within me, I'm quick to deal with it. Simple as that. Simple as that. Then I rework it and I transmute it into some light, and I create something beautiful out of it. Is that not what we're supposed to do as humans? To me, that's creating magic. Real magic. Transforming something dark into something light. But that's just my own personal opinion on it, or take on it. And co-creation, again, is based off of your thoughts and how you think of yourself and the world that you want to see. If you spend your time thinking about death and darkness and negative things, that's what you create for yourself and others. And we all have to take into account that conscious manifestation is very real. Not only that, but we're all dealing with everyone else's active manifestations as it is. Someone, once upon a time, was manifesting the reality that we're all living in today. And now it's our jobs to kind of combat all of that, because there's a lot of negativity. But somebody maybe from the 90s, 80s, the 30s, even 50s for sure, they was sitting here manifesting C19, if you know what I mean. And so it's all just part of a cycle. And if you kind of just get hip to, all right, if more people, including myself, are manifesting love and light, that's what we're going to see later on down the line, 10 years from now. But if more people are manifesting fear and darkness, then that's what we're going to see. And that's what I just want to bring up about co-creating, because we all have a part to play in it. It's not just, and never feel like you're insignificant in any way, because you're not. Everything that you do mentally is important. Everything that you do physically is important. Every action, decision that you make is important. Whether it be a mistake, that's okay. Just learn from it, grow from it, get back up. God loves you. He's not going to not love you because you made a mistake. Most of the time, God brings the mistakes or brings those things out of us to better us. So it's all for a reason, all for a purpose. There are no coincidences. Everything happens for a reason. For me, darkness has just been a way to find the light. Anytime I'm in darkness, anytime I'm feeling darkness, it gives me the opportunity to then look for the light, look to the light, look for love or feel love, or understand that I can, at any moment, I can just think about love and shift my paradigm. If I'm scared or in a state of fear or in a state of worry or in a negative thought pattern, all I have to do is switch my thinking and consciously choose to think about something on a lighter perspective or side. And then I begin to manifest those things. If you spend all your time just focusing on your dark side and the worst things about your character and your personality and just everything about you, you create all of those things to keep happening in a cycle. But when you start to go, I don't like this about myself. I'm aware of it, but I want to change it. I want to give it to God, and I want to transmute it into something better. Then that's what you do. It's the process. We're all trying to get better, I assume, or I hope that we're all trying to grow. And that's how you grow. You have to acknowledge your darkness and the dark thoughts, because they're real in a sense, but they're only as real as you make them. And if you continue to focus on them in a state of like, oh man, I think about these things all the time, you're choosing, in a sense, to think about them. Yes, of course, there are external forces and things that push thoughts into our mind, aka the television, vision, all of that. Like books even have a part in that, music as well, other people. But you have the choice to choose what you think about and what you create. And when you're thinking positive things and things of light and love, that's what you're creating. Simple as that. That's why manifestation is very real and very key in a lot of senses. If you can just learn to, and it's practice, it doesn't just happen overnight. You gotta get into a habit of doing it. And God's gonna give it to you easy like that. You're gonna have a negative thought one day and you're just gonna realize like, oh, I don't have to think about this. I'm gonna think about something else. Simple as that. You can acknowledge it, because I do. I acknowledge the darkness, and sometimes I even embrace it, especially when it comes to art and creativity. I was hanging out with a friend the other day, and we were playing Minecraft. Well, I was playing Minecraft, and I just was explaining to him, like, during my dark night of the soul, my college journey, this was therapy for me. This is where I put my mind at. I sat down for hours, and I played this game, and I just built, and I just created anything that I seen in my head, how I was feeling. And I told him, a lot of because I built cities like an architect. I just built things, skyscrapers, buildings, houses, you name it. And I was telling him, based on the color patterns and how some of the architecture is, that's based on how I was feeling and thinking in that time. And so I showed him some different thought patterns. There was times where I felt like a walking rainbow, very colorful. I was thinking a lot, very energetic, and I built cities that represented that. Then there was times where I was in dark spaces, sad, depressed. There's a city that's blue, purple, and black, and it stands out. It has this really dynamic look to it, or not dynamic, but it's just really cool. Then I have another one that's very light. Literally, it's light and airy and white, and it has silvers, and it's sparkly, and there's just different moods, times in my mind that I felt and created those things. And I'm using a video game to show I created those worlds or situations or spaces based on my own thinking in those times. When I was in a bad space, I created things that resembled that. when I was in a good space, I created things that resembled that. And I created buildings, monuments, figures, houses, malls, stores, all these things based on my thoughts, what I was thinking and how I was feeling. And here's the key to that. I chose to create those things. And this is why I'm bringing it up, because co-creation is about choosing what you want to create. Not necessarily what you don't want to create, but what you want to create. And when you are victim to your own feelings and emotions and thoughts, then you start creating the things you don't want. And you realize the world around you is not a happy one. But that's because the world within you isn't. And I learned that kind of through my Minecraft world. You know, it's something I've worked on for years. In 3 years in college, I spent a lot of time working on that. I work on my Minecraft world like 3 days out of a week each year. So that added up over time. So there's a lot of things in that world. And everything I built, it just resembled something, whether it was good or bad, light or darkness, fear or love. I even have a statue in my Minecraft world that says love because I was just in this really loving space when I built it. And it's just really cool because that was what kind of showed me a different aspect of co-creation. And I brought that principle into my real life, realizing, okay, back then I didn't really have the awareness that I was creating, these realities and these circumstances and this or that. But now I have the awareness. So I choose to create light and love because that's what I want to see. That's what I want to put out. That's what I want to get back. It's all about choices, actions, and decisions at the end of the day. You create your own reality. And if you're a person who enjoys light and love, that's what you create. If you enjoy darkness, then in a sense, that's what you create. If you're aware of it. Now, if you aren't aware, then you create either of the two based on your thoughts and what you choose to pay attention to. You pay attention to the rowdy thoughts, you're going to create the rowdiness. Pay attention to the good thoughts, you're going to create the goodness. It's how life goes in a sense. But 10 years down the line, based on everything that you're doing in this current time, is going to manifest in some way, whether that be a positive thing or a negative thing. That's for you to decide in this moment in time. But never feel like you're doing anything bad, because at the end of the day, what they all say, it's like a simulation. It's not real. It's a game, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Earth is that, but it's a teacher. And this is a lesson to learn. Simple as that. It's just a life lesson. Whatever you want to create, you can create. Yes, you're that powerful. You can speak it into existence, script it, think it, write it. It doesn't matter. But what you focus on is what you create. So if you're a person who wants to create light and love, just do your best to focus on those things. Focus on the love within your life. Focus on building your self-love. Focus on finding ways to express love or express yourself or express light. And even for people who are into darkness, because I've been in that energy, and I'm not going to lie, it's kind of fascinating. And I understand it on a different scale. I don't ever judge people who are in darkness because it's part of the journey. It's literally just another side of a scale or another side of a coin. Two sides of a coin, light and darkness. That's all it is. And you choose whichever side you want to be on. It's not wrong or bad to be on that side of the scale, but you have to be aware that when you are in that energy, you create that energy. And still to this day, there's times when I realize I'm creating that energy. I'll give you a real life example. One day I was driving down the street and for the most part, I listen to just positive music, things that uplift my spirit. But every now and then, I just want to have a little bit of fun and just dance and, have a good time in the car. So I put on something that gives me hype. And so I put on Whole Lot of Money by Bia, and it did just that. And I'm like dancing, singing, driving down the road. And I pull up to a car right in front of me. Ironically, the car is red. Okay. I'm in psychology. Well, I'm going to school for psychology and to become a counselor. So I just pay attention to a lot of different things. And so color psychology stands out to me, but also numerology. I'm really into numerology, understanding numbers, angelic numbers, all those things. And so red car and the license plate said 666 6, 6. I have 4 6s. So I paid attention to the 4 because 4 represents a spiritual realm. So I'm like, I see the energy I'm in right now. And I see what I'm creating right now. Not blaming the song or anything, but my own personal energy, because that's what I was choosing to focus on. I was focusing on that moment, that song, that time. And I was creating that for myself and didn't even realize I was in that energy. As soon as I realized I had to turn the song off, which, my ego took the blow, and my ego was like, no, I want to listen to it. But my spirit was like, but it's not beneficial. It's not doing anything good for you. It's time to rework the energy. So then I put on something that was more uplifting for my spirit. And then I seen 1, 2, 3. Oh, wow. The universe is hilarious. So at that point, I was like, all right, God, I see what you're doing here. I see. I just got to focus on this thought or this thought pattern over this one. And even though, I'm not going to say the lower parts of myself, but even though my ego, it wanted to start listening to this music over and over again and just get in that space, my spirit was like, it's not working out. This is not what we want to create. This is what we want to create, love and light. I started putting on that music, and I had just as much of a good time as I did when I was listening to the secular music. So it's all about your thoughts and how you choose to create your own reality. No one's doing it wrong. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just, be aware, if you choose to focus on darkness and fear or negative things, that's okay. It's okay. That is up to you, because that's the reality that you want to create for yourself. But just be aware that one day down the line, we might all have to react to that negative manifestation. And that's not a bad thing, but, just saying. Just gotta put it out there. But that is my little spiel or spin on co-creation. I don't know if it made sense to you guys. I hope it did. I hope I explained it the best way that I could. I know we talked about just like a lot of random stuff in between, but I was thinking about it pretty heavily just over the past couple of days, because I start to see that there are a lot of people who choose to create things on the darker side of the scale, and perhaps they don't really understand why people on the other side of the scale are creating the things that they are creating. And it's just, for me, that's my own personal reason why I've seen the darkness within myself and also within others, and I don't judge it, but it's not what I want to see for me, at least. So I do my best to think on that other side of the scale and just create something beautiful for us all to love and enjoy. So thank you guys for listening, and have a beautiful, blessed day.